Just
I just know when Jupiter is in, what do you call it, Ryan? When Jupiter is in
And Mercury's in
yeah, retrograde.
that was Ryan's favorite thing. Whenever like someone, like I'm fighting with my girlfriend or something at the time, it's like, oh, Jupiter's in retrograde, man.
Yeah.
It's fine. Wow.
I mean, it's a thing.
Sorry, I'm late. Mercury
Yeah.
was in retrograde.
Oh yeah, Mercury.
Especially now, you could actually use that right now because we're all in unprecedented times.
Hello and welcome to Bleed, the show about advertising and more. It's not a show about vampires or kickboxing or surgical procedures. It's about advertising and more with myself, Ryan White. We've got Jacques Moodley in the house. Or in
Hello.
the house.
In
And
his house.
we've got Dana Jacob.
Hi. Wait, I prepared a cool intro.
Yeah,
Just
go
wait.
for it.
Wait, hold on. Okay. Hi.
Oh, that's cool.
Hi.
Donna Jacobs. Jacob. I love it.
Okay. Okay, so people aren't going to know who we are, so I'm going to have to tell you who I am because I'm not famous, only amongst my close friends and family. So
Semi-famous.
I am Ryan White. I'm currently a freelance graphic designer. I studied at the AAA School of Advertising. Okay. So what is the next part? Why is the show called Bleed? We did this last week. The show is called Bleed because bleed is an advertising term. Basically means the section of artwork that's trimmed off so that your artwork looks nice and there's no little white line on the edge. We save the little white lines for other areas of our industry.
Hey.
Okay.
We just beat that away. Just
Okay, so then the second part to it is our first year art direction lecturer at AAA, where Jacques and I studied. He had this phrase written on his wall: eat, breathe, sleep, advertising. Did I say that correctly? So I thought just add bleed to the end of that because it's eat, sleep, breathe, bleed, advertising. And I feel like that is what we do in this industry. You know, we bleed the ideas, the concepts, the deadlines, the client, the meetings, the everythings. So that's why the show is called Bleed. Clever concept, round of applause. I think with advertising, you do always need to have like a clever concept. You can't get away with just, hey, this is a show. Maybe you can, I don't know.
a lot of shows like this and podcasts now, they're just doing like, after hours or coffee with, so it could literally be about nothing these days.
Comedians in cars getting coffee,
Yes.
It basically says what it is.
Jerry Seinfeld started that, yeah.
Yeah. I think in the name of advertising, we should have a clever concept, so it's so clever, guys. It's so clever.
Clever.
Uh,
In terms of like winning awards for podcast concepts, we'd win.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
This should be no
That's what we're about. Winning awards.
award winning.
I think we should actually do that. Imagine if I'm sure there is a podcast awards, right? But if we did a local one, you know how much money we'll make.
Like we make our own awards for podcasts locally.
Yes.
You were in the room. You're in the room, Dana. So you have to be. You're involved now.
I'm part of it, and I'm all about the awards. I live for awards. So I'm in. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's we go. Should we stop there right now and get cracking on the award?
This is done.
You had me at Bleed.
End recording. Guys, so what will we be talking about? I've written a few things here: creativity, advertising, strategy, influences, desperation, film, agencies, awards, and maybe morality and ethics might even feature because we're in advertising. So I think we are morally and ethically obliged to, Or does that just go out the window if you're in advertising? Like there goes your morals and your ethics.
Yeah, I've not had those for years.
As always, I'm joined by Jacques Moodley, aka Phil,
Hello.
art director.
I'm not a freelance person. I'm a paid lance person. So I work for an agency. But yeah, I'm an art director. So it's like graphic design, except I think there's more TV stuff involved, I guess. Although I haven't done TV in a while, but I'm still hopeful. And yeah, that's kind of it. And I studied at AAA School of Advertising with Ryan, although we were in different years. He was more senior and more cool, and I was less cool. But yeah, we came from the same institution, and we're both from the South. Represent. Boom. That's it.
Now that we've got Dana here, it's time to introduce you. So we've got Dana in our individual houses, and
Ta-da!
so what I've got written here is we've got Dana Jacob, digital strategist. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point. Writer, producer, fashion forecaster, and professional party animal. That's just what I've got written here. Our producers
that's
in
Ryan's
studio
version.
wrote that. Yeah.
It's quite to resume.
Yes, I mean, I guess you could package me as that. Obviously, the party animal, you know, I've had to tone it down because, you know, party for one in my room isn't quite the same. But yeah, I am what my official title is, a digital campaigns analyst right now. And I work for a software company called Syspro, and I work in the marketing team, specifically digital marketing. And yeah, my past, I mean, I've studied everything that is art, film, art history, design, advertising, copywriting, idea generation, design thinking. I've studied it all. I see. Is the AAA paying you guys by any chance? Because
It should.
you
Unofficial.
mentioned that. The thing is, I'm from Vega, so I don't know how this is gonna roll out, but
Perfect.
I did study Vega. I studied one of my first courses at Vega, so I've done several over the years. And you know, when I started, well, you know, when you're fresh out of school and you don't really know what you want to do, I come from an Israeli background. I'm Israeli, and we've got that mentality of like, you guys must get a job, you must work now, we're workhorses. And I didn't know, I didn't want to have like a part-time job or anything, you know, like normal people would do. They would have like a part-time job and then study, you know, 5 years, 6 years or whatever. And I didn't know what I wanted to study. And luckily I was at a high school called Crawford, and they actually had design as a subject. And I did art and art history, and I supplemented that with design as a subject. And I was like, wow, this is fascinating. I think I want to do this. And we had, well, you know how they do their road shows and they say, here's AAA, here's Vega and whatnot. We had a private school who only took about 20 applicants, and we did the same course that the AAA or Vega schools did in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
So it was intense. We had no holidays, nothing. It was just like we were basically Israeli workers. We were working for that full year, no break, but really, really cool. And yeah, so then I got a job, which maybe we can talk about later, but yeah, I studied there, then I studied at Vega. I had beautiful lecturers, and one of my lecturers at Vega was Hanneke Schutter, who, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Hanneke Schutt, whatever. Anyway, so I loved her. She took us for a radio and script writing module, and I was completely obsessed with her thinking and I loved her. And later on, in later years, she became a full-time scriptwriter and director. And I know she's done some short films, some feature films. She actually won that. Remember that Jameson First Shot competition? And she won the first one as part of the South African League. So they had 3 global winners, and she won the South African one. It's like, oh my gosh, she was my lecturer, and completely obsessed with her. Cool. And then over the years, I've just studied other, marketing and branding courses throughout literally the many years that I've been working. In fact, I did one, was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I did a digital marketing and strategy course there. And that really helped me with where I am today. I guess that's a nutshell, hey? Is that a short, mini?
In a nutshell, and I think for me, it was also kind of similar when I was choosing what I wanted to study and what industry I wanted to get into and what kind of a career I wanted to have. Was very much, when you get out of high school, you need to start working, you need to find something that's going to pay you regularly. And I thought about studying film, but I think it was the kind of thing where it's like, it's not an office job. It doesn't feel like a job, There was a lot of pressure. At least I put pressure on myself to find something that was going to be a little bit more regular, like an office kind of job. But I find sometimes that can be creatively limiting sometimes, because you're stuck in an office job and you're rolling out banners or whatever you're doing, and it's not really the kind of creativity. So in terms of like being in a band, for instance, or let's think of, or like being an actor or a film director, so I think that for me was one of the things that led me to become a freelancer, because you can kind of jump onto lots of different projects, and in your off time, if you don't have a gig, you can do some other cool things and work on your portfolio and that kind of thing. So I think that's why I enjoy being a freelancer, because you get to work on other cool projects, but and then still have, it's the best of both worlds. You can still like have that office job security element to it. But what I wanted to ask you is, when did it happen where you were like, I want to get into a creative field? Or when you were younger, what was the kind of creative outlet that you decided to gravitate towards? Were you like good at drawing, singing, that kind of thing?
Well, with me, I was good at everything creative, and I was always doing something creative. So whether it was art, whether it was drawing, whether it was dancing, I was big into the dancing. In fact, I wanted to be a professional dancer. I wanted to go to AFDA, or the National School of the Arts. I wanted to do AFDA, and I wanted to perform. And obviously that had started with the dancing. So I did ballet for many years, got up to the top level. In fact, at Crawford, we had early morning classes with a prima ballerina. She was doing classes there. So, that was going to be my life. I was convinced that was, I was going to be a dancer or actor or something, because, I loved being on stage, and actually I used to be so shy. I was a shy little kid, and I must say that the dancing and the stage and the performing really helped. I did debating and public speaking, you do all of those things, and that obviously that helps you come out of your shell. But I did all the school plays, the fashion shows. We did the school fashion shows. That was lame, but fun. And of course, like, I'm this high. I mean, what was I thinking?
The fashion shows are the best. I love the fashion shows. My brother was in a fashion show, and he did that track, Warren G and Nate Dogg.
Regulators.
And it was like on
It was a clear black night.
They even had like fake guns. So there's that one part in the song where he gets shot, and they had like the fake blood patches and everything. Those fashion shows were the best thing. But it was 90s, so they had like those silk shirts and the middle part.
Oh, I wish you had photos of that, Ryan. Maybe like for your edit, just intercut. You know, we can intercut some.
We've got some.
Yeah, I think our theme, we had like, you know, that Aquarius song, that 70s Aquarius song.
Yes,
Yeah, so we had that, and then it transformed into like what was then like modern stuff. So it was like that very 70s, and yeah, there was like a whole theme behind it, you know, transformative, who knows, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that was my foray into fashion. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was always into art and anything creative, and I also did piano, but I mostly focused on the dancing at that time. And of course, yeah, I really wanted to be an actress. Again, you know, when you're looking for varsities or basically, let's take it back to high school. You're looking at high schools and you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen after school. And at that point, you're studying so much, and you could be anything. The world is your oyster, but you just don't know. And I thought I was going to go to the National School of the Arts. And of course, you know, having the Israeli workhorse family, that was not going to pay the bills. Like that's not going to cut it. Like, Dana, you're not going to make money in, you know, performing. And by the time you get to prima ballerina status, that'll take you years. And then you retire at 30. There's not much, you know, you have to literally bleed. You have to bleed dance. Literally, that's your life. And I felt I had a little bit, you know, I was seeing tangents everywhere. Yeah. So it wasn't the only thing. I saw other tangents and other parts, and I took them. Okay. So I still continued the dancing, and you know, I did that kind of on the side. You know, I did a lot of corporate gigs. You know, I went to a really amazing studio, and the choreographer, she used to work on Broadway and in television, and she came back, and she's a remarkable woman. She actually created Tapsula here in South Africa. So Tapsula is obviously the Pantsula dance with tap. So that was her creation. And I was so lucky to be able to actually find her and start going to her classes. So I would do hip hop, contemporary, African contemporary, and a whole bunch of stuff. And eventually, you know, I loved it so much. And, you know, she would have auditions for shows, and I would go to them. I'd get the gigs. We would do corporate gigs. And again, I was still working at the time. So it was really hard. You know, if there was an audition, I would only go like when there was class or just before class or whatever, after work, hours, weekends. And yeah, one of my favorite ones. So we were backup dancing for, remember the Idols, one of the first Idols. I think she was the first Idol winner, Miss Bianca Lagrange.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in the group that was her backup dancers.
Oh wow.
And one of my favorite experiences. So again, this is a while back, but Beyonce had actually come to the country, and she performed at Gallagher Estates for, I think it was a Nelson Mandela huge charity event. Gallagher Estates, remember that? Yeah. And Bianca Lagrange was her opening act. And there's all of us backup dancing. We're on the same stage as Beyonce. Unfortunately, we didn't get to meet her because we searched, and she was in another building. They wouldn't tell us which one, but there was another building with Beyonce in it. But I was on the same stage as her.
Of course you were. I mean, you saw her up close, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you know, obviously studying at UNISA, the art history thing, I was always interested in art history. You know, even like up here, you know, Andy Warhol is one of my favorite artists. And even in lockdown, I took you know, they're giving away a whole bunch of free courses. So yes. MoMA, you know, Museum of Modern Art, was giving away like, I don't know, 50 free courses. And I'm like, this is incredible. I'm going to do one. And the first one that came up very close to the top of the list was contemporary art. And I took it. It was, I think, 8 weeks long, a couple of tests at the end. There wasn't a certificate because it's a free course, but honestly, it's mind-blowing. I loved it. This took me back to, the art history days. But it's always nice to continue studying. And, I've done a course at Columbia 2 years ago. Actually last year I did my postgrad. So I've always been learning, but when you first start out, it's difficult because you just don't know. And I honestly, all I wanted to do was act. After the dancing thing, I wanted to act. And then I think there was a moment when I was probably doing design at Crawford at high school, and we had such a cool project. I think we had to do a print ad for Swatch. Remember Swatch watches?
Oh yes,
were the rage. Swatch watches, and they had a really cool campaign, and I think we had to just do a spin on it. And I think we didn't do computers back then, and I painted it. So I did, gouache. I was very good at gouache, but this particular was gouache. Fine, like I did very fine work, and you would draw the watch and you draw everything, and I had a beautiful, like a model. I can't remember exactly. Maybe in your edit you could just bring out I'll bring you guys, But I remember it was such a cool project. I'm like, this is fascinating stuff.
I think we had the same syllabus because we also did. I don't know if you did, Jacques, the Swatch campaign in first year.
No, I
also with gouache.
That's so cool.
Yeah, gouache. I remember gouache. I bought a lot of gouache.
Gouache, you call me?
But it's interesting, like just going back to the performance side of things, right? And music, because obviously you were a dancer, so there's a music element to that. For my side, I was also kind of shy. And the performance side of things, I was never really drawn to. For me, it was mainly like designing and doodling and coming up with little stories and illustrating, making comics, that kind of thing. So it was very much like a inward kind of thing as opposed to like outward performing kind of thing. And I know, so Jacques, you identify a bit more with like the performance side of things and like the music side of things. Like, where do you sit on that side?
I mean, I think advertising or design, at least for me, was always like a way to get like, so I've always been interested in rapping, like making hip hop music. And I used to like battle and that sort of thing. And then I would sometimes design, I think, Ryan, you have a similar thing where I'd also design covers, but I design covers for myself. So like I'd make mixtapes, and like sometimes at AAA, we had a design project with one of our lecturers, and I'd always like say, oh, I'm going to do an album cover. And he'd be like, cool. But what he didn't know is I was doing like an album cover for myself. So I was like dropping a mixtape with my friends, and I was like, cool, we got this, Cynics was the group, and we had an album called Amateur Footage. So the whole thing was based in cinema. So it was like a film reel, and each like frame of the film had like me and my one friend and my other friend rapping. So I kind of used advertising or design as like a way to like make my rap career sort of take off. That was always the plan. I was like, I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to do this advertising thing as a side thing, or like design as a side hustle until I can blow up as a rapper. And 12 years later, I'm still, designing. Not so
Are
much.
you rapping still? Rapping on the side?
I'm making beats more now. I produce for other rappers. You guys who are better than me.
Did you ever do the battles at Gandhi Square?
No, I never did Gandhi Square, but I did battle at AAA. I actually battled cats from Vega and beat them. 3 guys.
Oh,
I beat
yeah.
them.
Ooh,
I remember seeing you guys there, but I was like, whoa, those guys are too cool for me. And I would just go to Old Park.
Drive off in your Honda Lord.
But I
can you
remember.
drop us a beat, perhaps? You want to drop us like a little something?
I can drop a. No, I mean, let's see how the edit goes. I might drop.
Maybe it's the intro outro.
Yeah, exactly. I'll drop an intro and outro. I'll do a bleed intro.
Okay. I like it.
I remember you telling me, like, so obviously back in the day, before MP3s, before Spotify, before Apple Music, we actually had to go and buy an album, and you'd have to wait. There would be a release date, and I remember you were saying
music.
you pirate some of the albums and then create the artwork.
I can show you some now. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Wow.
Dude, the FBI
I mean,
gonna
no, it's
come
fine.
after you for pirating.
So I eventually bought the original, but I remember going to, this is Nas The Lost Tapes, my favorite album. And you can see there's like a little case there with like a microphone, and I remembered it. So when I went home, I tried to replicate it, and this is what I made. It's very bad. But inside, yeah, inside is the microphone case with the case with the
Thanks.
microphone. I remember that.
Sick.
Yeah, so that's like one of them. Nas, Stillmatic. I copied a lot of Nas now I think about it.
Did you use
Oh.
gouache?
No, this was Mark and Pens. This was my 50 cents to Get Rich or Die Trying cover.
Love it. I
That's
love
Look
that.
at, look at that at the back. That's pretty good.
Wow. With the tats and everything.
Yeah, man. You know, I used an actual card. That's like conceptual. His name was
Ooh,
Master Ace. I
real
found Ace.
So
card.
it was all before college or during?
This is before college. Yeah, this is high school. Bootleg. Boom. Oops. Some Coldplay, X and Y. Anyways, yeah, that's how I got into design. Bootlegging.
So that kind of brings us to, okay, so now we know where we studied and so we had these kind of like dreams of being like a ballet dancer or a rapper. So like, how did we land up in advertising? I think that's where we're at now. Because I mean, you obviously like, when you're studying and you kind of like, what's your 5-year to 10-year plan? Where do you see yourself? That whole question. For me, it was never really advertising. For me, I didn't really know. So I took a gap year and I was like, what do I want to do? And then I was like, I need to earn money. That was my, like, I need to have a job. And then on the side, I will like coach soccer. So that was my thing. I was like, I really enjoy playing soccer and I enjoy teaching.
That
So
could have made you a millionaire.
yeah,
The soccer thing.
yeah.
Just saying.
So I did coach soccer for a while. And for me, yeah, I didn't want to be like a professional like soccer coach. For me, it was just about, you know, just coaching soccer, like on the side kind of thing. It was either that or like becoming a Tai Chi instructor, something that involved teaching. So I think I may still do that in my later years, which I'm quickly approaching. Well, not quickly. You can only approach something at like one pace, right?
What you 25, hey? We all 25 really.
Yeah, 28 and a
25
half.
till I die.
But yeah, I think that's more the kind of thing that I would want to get into at a later stage. So yeah, like Tai Chi instructor or soccer coach, that kind of thing. That's where I was like, okay, cool. But yeah.
Did you say that did you do the coaching thing at the soccer coaching thing at some point?
Yeah, I did it for a while and then I injured myself and then I stopped that. But for me, I think the whole advertising thing, it was something that I could do. So I could draw and I am passionate about it, but for me, it is more of a thing of working with people. So that's kind of, I enjoy collaboration more than actually expressing myself creatively. So like working in teams at an agency, that's the kind of thing that I enjoy. It's not so much about the work, you know, because the work will happen, you know, you get the right people in a room, like the work will happen and it'll be decent work if you have the right people. But I've never been like that solo, like glory hunter kind of person where it's like, this thing needs to be amazing and crafted to the nth degree. You know, it's like, we're a team here. Let's make this thing amazing, because it doesn't just take the designer or art director. Like there's a whole bunch of other facets to advertising to produce something cool. You need an account manager, you need a strategist, you need all of those things. So it's like it's a team thing for me. So I enjoy working in teams more than creating the work, if that makes sense.
I think for me, like I had so many like creative influences. Like I used to collect magazines because I loved the world of, publishing and what it brought to both fashion, photography, styling, movies. So for me, I used to collect magazines and I used to study them. So I would collect the weird ones, like ID, nylon, wallpaper. Of course, I used to collect all the Vogues. I bought probably every month. I would spend so much money buying all the Vogues, like US Vogue and UK Vogue, Elle, Glamour. I would buy all of it because I loved how they did page layouts for everything. So for me, I guess I wasn't fascinated with, the celebrity thing of it. It wasn't that. It was how did they do this magazine? How does this come about? I want to do this because it is so cool. Every single layout was so geniusly done, and especially with those weird ones like nylon and, the very strange off-center, collectible magazines where they were like, everything was a design. Every page, every word, every font was so fresh. And I honestly, I used to study that. And honestly, till like very recent years did I actually get rid of all of those magazines, because I'm a bit of a hoarder, but I had collections upon collections of, this is years worth of magazines, but I used to study them. And I remember, was it Diesel? I was obsessed with the Diesel campaigns, the Diesel ad campaigns. And I was like, I think I want to do that. I want to be the person coming up with this cool idea. I love the creative thinking. I want to, with the Diesel ad specifically, I remember the campaign that really got me was, I don't know if you guys remember, there was they created a fake character called Joanna, and she was like a fake pop star. And they had, it was King Frank. He was the paparazzi photographer. And the whole campaign was obviously, the clothes, but it was more the story about her and the, her little terrible things that she would get up to. And obviously not only would I replicate literally her look, down to, I remember she had like this, she had this blue snakeskin hat, cowboy hat. I loved it. I was like, I'm buying that. I still have the hat to this day. The jeans, I bought that whole range. But on top of that, it was fascinating. Like the detail that Diesel had come up with in terms of the copy, the story, it was so fine. And they also, the microsite, they had a whole microsite about her. And yeah, I became really obsessed with, campaigns and print and ads and things like that. And then I was like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's my trigger. It started very young when I started the collection. I didn't know at the time that I was looking at I didn't know what copywriting was. I just read it and I was like, oh, this is cool. But I was like, oh, I like how they did this font, or I like how this layout is, it's layered and whatever. So I think that was it for me. Yeah.
I think it's cool that you have all those facets. So you've got like the writing, design, performance, and now strategy as well. I think that's freaking awesome. But okay, so I'm going to ask you this. Do you recall the moment in your early days in advertising, early in your career, where you realized like, wow, I've made it? An incident or something that happened. So last time I told the story of the vagina chicken. I don't know, which was just.
I watched that one. Yeah.
It was intense, and I think I should give a bit of context. So that person was an employee. I don't think I mentioned. She was an employee, and she was a DTP artist. Not that that's relevant in any way, but. Yeah, so that thing happened to me, and I'm not saying you should share a story that's like it, but.
Well, I can tell you the moment that I questioned my decision. I can tell you the moment that I thought, why am I doing this? And then I'll take you to why, what maybe made me think, okay, cool, I've made it into the right field. But there was, I don't know if you guys did an internship, But, with that very, very first year course that I did, we were very lucky enough to get placed as interns. I was placed at the Jupiter Drawing Room. And, at the time that was big. It was a big deal. But again, I was, teeny tiny, and I looked like I was a 10-year-old boy. Honestly, I was not ready for the workplace. But anyway, I did my best. And I remember at the time, they didn't really, it almost felt like they didn't know I was coming to do the internship. It felt like I was the tea lady at times. But anyway, so I would like mingle my way and try to see, okay, who do I need to speak to, and what can I do? Like I want to learn something. I want to actually create. Anyway, There wasn't much. They didn't give me much, and they didn't really give me like a person to mentor me or whatnot. But what they did give me was the Christmas card, the company Christmas card.
Oh, nice.
So I had the prestigious honor of creating their company card, and I think I created it myself. I can't remember if I did like a little digital drawing or something, and then I printed it out and I got everyone to sign it, and of course nobody knew who I was. But at the time it was a cool thing because I thought I was making connections. But then I would come home and think, okay, cool, so I did the company Christmas card. Yay, at the Jupiter Drawing Room. In a turn of events, the company that I'm working at now, they recently celebrated their 40th birthday. But, of course, I've had many years between then. And I did a whole, I was doing the digital campaign for the birthday. We wanted to do video. We did a whole bunch of really cool collateral for the campaign, for the birthday campaign. I mean, 40 years is a long time, especially for software. It's a good company. It's a good thing for a company like that. And, I had this idea. Obviously, I never thought about the internship, but that was never a thing. But it actually occurred to me when I was telling the story that I had an idea to get all of the CEO's clients, or his colleagues. I wanted all of his connections and his network to wish him a happy birthday, because he's a phenomenal guy. He's a CEO. He started the company in 1978. Like any other tech guru, in his garage. And now it's this global company. So I wanted to do something quite special. So I had this idea of doing a card, but a little bit different. It was digitalized. So I did a whole campaign with a microsite. All of his customers would submit their birthday message. And then I actually created a book for him out of that. So it was like a 200, 300 page book, hard copy, coffee table book, beautifully designed. So I guess that came full circle. In a way. Yeah.
That's really nice. That's really cool, man. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
But
And then I guess, yeah.
No,
I mean,
no, you.
Okay, go.
You.
I guess the point that I thought I had made it in the advertising world was, that moment when you first see something that you've created out there. There's, when you're like literally in your early 20s and you see something that you've made. It could be anything, but it could be a billboard. It could be a truck. It could be a little street poles. It could be anything. Something that you designed, and I can't remember the exact one I did, but seeing your work out there was a thing for me. And I guess I always joke about this, but my claim to fame, in my very first job, I did all the interior designs for the casinos. So they were all the Monte Casino, Emerald Casino, was it Silver Star? The company I worked for had the contracts for designing the interiors. And I remember, even to this day, I'm like, guys, that the Monte Casino, those mosaics, I designed those. Like
that is awesome though. especially early on, to have like such a big project. And an
Yeah.
interior job,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah. But yeah, seeing your stuff on the highway and the billboards, that was cool for me. I was like, okay, I like this.
Now, even now, still, I get like a little bit of a buzz if I see like one of my social posts go up, you know. And like nowadays, I'm learning to animate, and then you know, it's kind of cool to see an animated post and be like, wow, I actually can animate. This is cool.
Yeah. No, right.
That
Actually,
is
you've
a
come,
fun thing.
yeah,
Sorry.
Ryan's come a long way because I know you were doing like film and, well, you were obviously you filming a lot of things, and we, you know, we did that show together.
Oh yeah.
That's quite fascinating. So it's on top of your design and your freelancing, you did filming and and editing as well. Like that's a thing. I honestly love what you did with our show
Yeah.
before. Um,
So that thing for me is probably a product of being a freelancer, where if you come up with an idea, and say for instance you don't have a gig, you can actually pour your efforts into doing like a side thing. So we had this idea, and I'm quite spontaneous. I don't really like to plan that much. So even planning this whole thing is a big thing for me. I'm just kind of like, if someone has an idea and it feels cool, we just go for it. And even if it means we got to do it on a budget with a cell phone, and then you hold another cell phone above it with the lights, there's no tripods, and you just like, yeah. And then batteries running low and you're running out of space, and it's like, yeah. So we did that show, and yeah, I had a really good time. But for me, that's like a passion project. It's something that's just more fun than anything else. Like, yeah, I like having that blue sky thinking and not having a client say, sorry, we can't do that, or we don't have the budget for it. I'm just like, well, let's do what the budget can handle, and like actually being brave in your decisions. And I think sometimes with agencies, they can be a bit cautious if you have an idea, and if they can't visualize it, or if they can't, you know, provide the budget for it, or the client buy-in, then I think a lot of good concepts are lost, you know. And I think that's a little bit of a pity for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, or any other comments.
I mean, I always keep the stuff that never made it, because that's where the gems are. And like you're saying, you get blocked a lot of the time in advertising. You get budget. There's financial blockers. There's, you know, maybe toxic manager blockers, or, you know, maybe there's certain blockers that will prevent you from executing your idea. So you could, I think, as you guys probably have a ton of, you know, really cool concepts and strategies that just never saw the light of day. But I always keep those, and sometimes you always look back, and, you know, I'm a huge note taker, so I like furiously take notes wherever I go, and or like memos. I've got my voice memo or note memos, writing stuff. You know, the ideas, I think they never stop. And yeah, unfortunately, with, you know, in advertising scenarios, you are limited in certain ways, unless you're working at like a, you know, super prestigious agency where they just work to do awards or to get awards, and, you know, they submit to Cannes, and, you know what I mean, like that's what they do. And it's that kind of agency. I didn't ever work for that kind of thing. You know, I was just happy to have my work out there and be creative and design and, you know, copyrights and come up with ideas. But yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes you get blocked. It's I guess just the nature of the ad beast. The beast that's advertising.
What about you, Falco? Ever had an idea blocked?
Oh no, plenty of times. But I think to your point, I think the reward, that is advertising's like alluring aspect, right? Like getting your work out there, and like when people see it and people go, oh man, I really like that TV ad I saw, or that billboard, or that, even like you were saying, that social post. And when you get that feedback, I think that's also kind of why the rap thing appealed to me, or whatever. It's just kind of like creating something and getting someone's feedback, and just one guy saying, I like that verse you did, or that on a rap song, or if I like that billboard you did, that billboard's so super cool. It looks so different from everything else. I think that's just like, I think while we're in this business, and I always think of like, like I've got like a 6-year-old, and I just think about every time he draws something and I put it on the fridge, and like for him, it's me showing how proud I am of him, but for him it's like, yeah, I did this thing, it's really cool, it's going up in the fridge. And I think everyone in advertising has this thing where we just want our stuff to go up on the fridge and like a pat on the back, and like that's the carrot that dangles in front of us, and that's what makes it rewarding. So as much as like sometimes it's really shit and we work really shit hours, and sometimes the pay isn't good, and like it's stressful, every once in a while it's like those few little moments where something goes up on the fridge or the billboard or on TV or on like a Facebook, a social platform, then it's rewarding, and we get that like sense of like belonging, and like I'm doing something good, I'm doing something great, and people appreciate it. And I think it doesn't happen often, and I think it's happening less and less now with the way things are, but I think that's what keeps us in it, or what keeps us going. And I think it is important, if you don't get that from like your job or whatever, to have these things on the side, because then you can get that reward sort of dopamine coming in from something else you're doing. As long as you're making stuff and you're being creative, I think it's important, whether you do it for an agency, you do it for yourself, or you do it for whatever, props. I think is important, man. Keeps us alive.
For me, I never really wanted to become a creative director or work my way up. I don't think it suits my personality. And I think quite early on, I was a student and I went to the Luries. And so a Luries award show, and it was in Margate, so nice coastal vibe, everyone's partying, it's amazing. So I enjoyed the party aspect of it, but in terms of like just being at these parties, and then you're like looking at some people, like some of the creative directors or ECDs, you can see they've been in the industry, and it's just like, it's a very stressful industry, and a lot of them, I don't know, like maybe flirting with the interns, and you know, they're married, they're married, and it's just like, if I had to project, where do I want to be? I don't want to be like 50 and like being at Cannes, eating oysters and sipping on champagne and like flirting with interns, and I've got kids and I'm on my second marriage. You know how these things go. And I looked at that and I made a decision quite early on, and I was like, I do not want to go that route, but I still want to be creative. I still want to create. So I think that's why I found myself in a freelance kind of thing, because I still very much hands-on with the work. And also, like nowadays, I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to sit in meetings about processes, and I don't want to traffic, people that are supposedly under me. Because I feel like creative directors nowadays aren't really directing the creative as much as they should be or want to be. I feel like they're chasing up on work and deadlines. So they're basically doing a bit of traffic. I feel like they are relaying what the client has to say a lot more than actually directing the end product. So they're doing a bit of an account management job there. But listen, I mean, that's just my opinion in my experience. And that's not something that I want to do. I don't want to sit in traffic meetings. I just want to execute the work. And I don't know, maybe that's a harsh opinion, but
I used to be one. I used to be a creative director. But it was in a film production agency. So it was slightly different to the ad agency. So with me, I got into film and TV as a creative director, and yeah, it was slightly different because you don't have there was a traffic person, but it wasn't really the exact same replicated setup that an ad agency would have. But yeah, you mentioned the Luries, and of course, I had gone to one of the ones at in Cape Town. Just mad parties. And I think the concept to other people that are not in the industry is the Luries world. They think it's the fast-paced, it's quite glamorous. I think if you've made the jury's list or whatever, you've got like your Grand Prix, you got your goals or whatnot. If you're award winning, like I guess it can be glamorous. Obviously, when you're young, you kind of dream of it. Like I guess I was never in an agency that was focused on awards, but you look at other agencies and you looked at your friends and you would be like, oh, I wonder what that could be like getting up on stage with your team and collecting the Grand Prix or something. Yeah, maybe one day, hey guys.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Yeah, but creative directing, I loved it because I was quite free to not have those blockers. So where previously I would be blocked with a lot of things. Sure, you get blocked with budget and you'd have limitations, but it was a little bit more free in terms of ideation and coming up with concepts and actually taking it to clients and saying, or collaborating with clients rather, which was I love collaborating, like you were mentioning earlier, Ryan. You know, when you're an agency and collaborating with a client that's actually like they with it. When a client gets it, it's magical. And that's what I experienced as a creative director, especially with film and TV. We did a lot of reality shows and commercials and music videos. Maybe we can do your one, Jacques. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Hey.
You can do that on the side.
You know, that sounds fun though. That sounds fun. The way you describe that sounds fun. So I suppose it's dependent on what kind of accounts you have and what brands you're working on. So, I mean, if you do have big financial services or I don't know, like some of the bigger corporate brands, maybe you don't have as much. Yeah. Whereas music videos and like reality shows, that sounds like it would be fun. And if the client's heavily involved, there is that collaboration, you know?
I just want to highlight one of my favorite reality shows that I did. Honestly, I had the time of my life because we were filming. We had a really cool agency that we worked with, a really cool client. It was an MMA fighting show, a reality show. Now here's this little ballet dancer. I've been assigned to do this show, and I was assistant director and scriptwriter. And the whole, you know, there was several different agencies involved. It was big. It was, you know, millions of rands. it was epic. And we had Michael Jai White, who's a Hollywood star, basically come, you know, Michael Jai White from Spawn.
No.
And I think Mortal Kombat, and he does a lot
Big
of
guy.
those action, big guy. And we flew him into the country. He was the host of our show, and I wrote his scripts.
That's fun.
And when I, you know, again, another moment I had was when he was holding my script. I actually took a photo of it because it was so surreal. Just the fact that he was reading my script, my words that I wrote, I couldn't fathom. I never thought in a million years that would happen. Someone from Hollywood taking the script, saying my lines, and then I get to assistant direct. You know, I was there with the executive producer. We were all behind the scenes, and we're like, yeah, maybe we could do another take. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah.
You know. So that was really, honestly, just it was great, and that was, you know, really when I started showing and executing my passion for film, because, you know, as a designer and conceptual artist and, you know, all of the stuff on the side, you know, doing film was like another outlet, another creative outlet. And that was phenomenal for me. That really changed my life, being in film and TV. What was the question?
So we are actually going to take a break. And then when we come back, we'll get Jacques' opinion on, it was just the whole creative director thing.
Yes,
not being able to be super hands-on and fulfilling admin roles as opposed to, we'll get Jacques' take on that. Going to take a break. We're going to grab some tea. And